Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Ken and Alicia at Tortoise Capital, and I'm a trader, and she's my coach. And we're going to talk a little bit about what we've been working on over the last 4 months. And I thought it was important that we share the good news, and I wanted to uh, give Alicia a chance to tell her story and show what she can offer to our trading community, but also to the wider community out there that's in need of getting your energy realigned in order to make your professional decision making and your professional performance uh, uh, more better in every way with by aligning you at the root level with your energy flows.
Yeah.
I'm a retired career Army officer. I've got a second career full-time associate professor for the Army, and I work with leader development, the holistic leaders uh, at the senior level who make life and death decisions all the time under pressure, under uncertainty, and the accumulation of the weight of those decisions and consequences are things that we are very serious about uh, understanding and processing in order to continue to make good decisions under pressure. That's a proactive process because you don't want to crash and burn and then figure out you need some help. So we look for ways in the military decision about how to prepare for that stress, how to manage that stress, how to leverage it to our advantage in many ways. And one of the things I noticed in my 40 plus year career as trading was just how similar that experience is to my military experience.
Mhm.
The kinds of decisions you make in combat and the consequences of them feel very much like the decisions you make as a trader. If you're in my line of that business where you're also teaching others to trade, you take on a personal responsibility for how they're doing. So it's not just you and your decisions, but the things that you've inspired or taught people to do can accumulate. And I've chosen that little sketch in the background of the, village mill driven by water power to sort of characterize the day in, day out experience of these kinds of professional decision makers, which I think are very much common to all business and organizational leaders. I'm a businessman and a civic leader in my town, um, and uh, and what we all share in common is the we feel the weight of daily responsibilities, and if you get imbalanced, as we'll talk about here in a minute, then your corrective action can take you too far, and pretty soon you start finding yourself off of your center and lumbering around like a bull in a china shop. And uh, even on your best day as a trader or a businessman or an army officer, it's a grind. There's a there's a cost and a consequence of making these decisions all the time, and that's why I think this kind of work on personal and professional performance, looking at our energy and the way we're using that to drive our decision making and our peace of mind is really crucial. We're just starting to crack that code in the Army. My traders are a little bit better at that. We get more exposure to the importance of psychology and well-being and stuff. But I just think that modern literature on emotional resilience and grit and holistic person perspectives really brings all these things into proper perspective. And so Alicia and I met by accident at a workshop where we were looking at transformational techniques, and a bunch of us were sitting around a circle. Some had services to offer, some were interested in it. I have a scholarly as well as a personal interest in these areas. And I'm always looking for things that can help me and help my traders. And we resonated immediately in some of our breakout sessions. And I thought, well, here's a chance for me to eat my own cooking, and that is to put myself under the guidance and direction of a good coach and do my best to do as I was told and experience the experiences and see what could happen. And on behalf of my traders and my army officers, I decided to be a test subject to one. And so, really, we just kind of realized today at the conclusion of our last last meeting, this has been a 4 month journey of weekly efforts and integrations and dialogue that's been really personally rewarding to me at uh, some transformational moments in my own personal and professional life, not just trading, but
Yeah.
and I found working with Alicia has been very helpful for me. um, I can say, hopefully, to embarrass her, but how easy it is to work with her, how supportive, but also disciplined and structured and playful, no nonsense, if I can say it that way, if those words make sense, is that real sense of that human connection and uh, mindful presence and all in. So that's been my experience, and I want to give Alicia a chance to talk a little bit here. And but I just wanted to say that picture in the background is my internal representation of what it's like every day, making those decisions for the good of the team and going through the grind and the accumulation of the fatigue and the cost of doing those things will put a mark on you. And we want to be able to handle that and continue to do this in a healthy way. And so that's the way this has unfolded for me. And Alicia, I want to toss it over to you and see if you can make sense of any of that stuff. And let's go.
Well, thank you, Ken. I appreciate that. And I think you make all kinds of sense about it yourself. You are so dedicated to everything that you do and doing it well. And that includes knowing you, learning you, growing, and helping to put yourself in the best place that you can be for all of the different things that you do because you do so much. And like a lot of other people, right? We're stretched in lots of different directions. And it can get to us. It can really get to us, and it can impact how we perform. It can impact our relationships. It can impact every aspect of our life, really. And so, kudos to you for one, being a guinea pig for this, and two, sharing that with your community because you know them, right? And you know the stress that they're under. And I am, let me say, just I'm honored. I don't take it lightly when people let me into their energy and allow me to work
Yeah.
with it. And you've been so trusting and so open to it. And it's been just really rewarding for me to see the shifts that have come for you. And like you said, not just work related, but even
Yeah.
personal life. I can remember some sessions, physical shifts, things
Yeah.
happening for you. So on all different levels, this work can be amazing. So I appreciate the opportunity to work with you and then to
Yeah.
talk to your community about all of this as
Yeah,
well.
what I really wanted the folks to see and hear was me eating my own cooking on this. They're used to me being sort of a technical guy and giving them systems rules and
Yeah,
talking through the rational side of these things. But and I talk about the psychology, but this is a chance for people to see the psychology, to feel vicariously the emotions I describe as I go through the different sessions and the impact that those things have on me, and to hear what it sounds like to be an experienced trader dealing with a lot of these root psychological opportunities and challenges that come about just as a natural part of trading. So
yeah,
hopefully they get a chance to see that part of the profession and then that part of me as well, so they get a sense
yeah,
of what I'm trying to do. So
yeah. And that's a perfect example of one of the things I know that we talked about several times throughout our sessions. We as humans, we have masculine energy and we have feminine energy.
yeah.
And we're so driven to live in that masculine do and accomplish. And we don't often enough take the time to lean into the feminine side. And this is men and women alike, right? To lean into the feminine side and really do that deep dive and
Mhm.
give ourselves the gift of time and self-understanding and just sometimes rest, just rest.
Yeah.
So the goal is for all of us to be masculine or male or female, whatever gender you identify as, to have that balance of masculine and feminine energy. And I think what you just said is a perfect example of doing that. So again, kudos to you.
Yeah. Do you have a few slides for us? I think we
I do. I'm going to go
help you
ahead and
see them. Let's
yeah,
go
I'm
ahead
going
and
to
jump right into it if you don't mind then.
Do not mind at all. I'm going to go ahead and share here. Let's see if the tech is going to work for us today. All right.
And coming up, and there we go.
You got it. You see
Yeah.
my mug there?
Yeah, can you is that will that expand at all?
Let me see if I can make it a little
It
bigger.
doesn't need to be screen show. I know you had a sensitive mouse, but this will that does that get any larger?
Um,
I mean, that's good. I mean, I think it gets what we need.
Is that good right
Yeah,
there?
there we go. Here we go. Yep, that
Okay.
works good right there. Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Let me move a couple things. So I'll start off with just a little bit of my background so that y'all have an idea of kind of who I am and how I got here. Because I didn't start here in my in my life and in my professional career as an energy worker. I am the founder, pardon me, of Blue Violet Energy Healing. And that's kind of a late career thing for me. So I spent 25 years in the corporate world and I started out in human resources doing organizational development work, leadership coaching, executive coaching, team coaching, helping people build high performance organizations and teams. And after a while, I decided, you know what, if I really want to be credible, because I was pretty young and out of college and didn't have a lot of business experience then, if I want to be credible, I need to jump over into leadership roles and get some real hands-on experience so that I had my own stories to tell about what worked and what didn't work. And I did that. And then I ended up staying there for 25 years. And so I started out managing teams of four in call center situations and financial services, to towards the end of my career, managing large scale operations, multi-million dollar contracts supporting the federal government, the state government of California, which is kind of like a federal government in and of
Yeah.
itself. Yeah. And so over those 25 years in leadership, I've kind of seen everything. I won't say everything. I've seen a lot of things
Yeah.
over and over, and I've lived the stress of it, right? And I've lived through the migraines, and I've lived through the eating meals out of the vending machine all day long and mainlining coffee just to get through.
Yep.
And, I really wish I knew then some of the things that I know now, all of the things that I know now. Towards the end of my corporate career, which literally officially just ended about a year ago, I moved into back into kind of consulting role. And so I was doing leadership consulting. And at the same time, I was really starting to dive deep into who I was and learned about my gifts as an energy healer. And I, would walk into these coaching sessions with leaders and they would be so stressed that they really couldn't think. And it wasn't even about thinking about business or talking about business. I literally had one guy, I walked in and he just gave me the hand. He was like, I cannot today. I cannot do this. I am so stressed between work and home and customers here that I'm just about ready to quit and I'm going to walk out. And so that day I asked him if we could try something different. And he said, I'll try anything. And 2.5 hours later, he kind of looked at me and he blinked and he said, I don't know what that
Hmm.
was, but everybody needs to experience that. And that's what you're going to see in the videos with Ken, because it was that same type of experience, except for this guy laid himself out on the floor of his office right there. He was so just gone and stressed. And I did full on energy clearing for him and got him back into the game just like
Well,
that.
sometimes we think that that our mind is who we are, and that our body is just this thing that carries it around from place to place. But
Mm,
the more we know about modern neuroscience is that we are embodied minds, that we are
yes.
part of the a biological system that's all connected in there, and so it's
Hmm.
all parts of the body that are part of our mental and emotional makeup, and to neglect everything else in order to just focus on your rational thinking is to really miss the power and the importance of some of these other elements. And when those things are not in alignment or they're not being taken care of, there's a natural consequence on the brain. So, yeah, that's I detected that right away in our sessions that we started off in the head with some words, but it quickly became experiential
Mhm.
and total body, mind, spirit work that really helped me get centered in every session, and that is part of the overall project. Yeah,
Absolutely. And I thank you for adding that in because that's, you can see here, I'm an emotion, mind, and energy integration coach. It's taking all the pieces, parts of the equation and pulling them together so you have a holistic view and solution to what's going on. Because, like I said, you can't talk business if internally
yeah.
you're not doing well. And it's all going to come out somewhere, whether it's with your spouse or your kids or your coworkers or your team. And, nobody wants that. Really, nobody wants that
Well,
for
what
anyone.
I noticed, to talk about emotion, mind, and energy and
Hmm.
that integration, every session that we started with was kind of like a story about where are we and what are we thinking about today, but then getting into the emotions and the energies associated with that and work being done. And when we come out of that and get into the debriefing, back sort of into the refreshed, re-energized mind,
Hmm.
it's not enough just to have a pleasant experience, although pleasant is pleasant,
Yeah.
but it was always, that move towards closure and next steps and the plan ahead. So there was always a divergence and then a convergence, and starting with the mind and ending up with the mind in terms of planning and next steps and all that. So there was genuinely from start to finish that complete integration of all of those emotion, mind, and energy, and
Yeah.
which I think your background, in corporate and whatnot, really lends a real sense of credibility, in my view, to the kind of work that you're doing. I think it's always um, good to be working with someone who is a direct experience or is grounded in some of the challenges that person's working on, right? So
Yeah.
it's going beyond book knowledge. It's a living knowledge. There's some empathy in there, um, as well as just the feelings. I mean, there's some
Yeah.
a total mind body spirit experience. So
Yeah,
yeah,
thanks. Yeah, little did I know back in the day that when I said I want to get into leadership so that I
yeah,
could have experience, I didn't realize it was for this work, but
yeah.
now I know and now I can see that for sure. So let's flow on through a little bit here. See if we can get the next slide going. And just talk about a little bit deeper here. So can you touched on this pretty deeply here. Every decision that your traders make in the market, it's influenced by something that most traders actually never really look at or measure, and it's their energy state, right? So you can have a solid methodology, you can have the right tools, you can know exactly what you're supposed to do from a trading perspective. But if your energy is cluttered and blocked, you might second guess yourself, you might act on impulse, freeze when you need to when you need to act. But when your energy is clear, you approach it from with a calm mind and your focus sharpens. Say that 3 times fast. Focus sharpens.
Yeah.
Uh, Decisions get easier. You just, the stress level just goes down. Not that we can ever get rid of stress, but, kind of with cleared energy, you handle that stress a whole lot easier and it doesn't impact your behaviors and the
Well,
decisions you.
that's right. I mean, a certain amount of stress is necessary for all
Yeah.
learning and for all high performance. There is stress is sort of the recognition of the seriousness of the effort of the thing that we're trying to do. It acts as a focusing tool. Too much of it and you burn out. Not enough of it, and you might be frivolous or not do your due diligence.
Yeah.
And what the this energy clarification, if I can say it that way,
Yeah.
is sort of getting all of the little steps in the supply chain properly aligned and tuned and moving together as a larger system instead of a series of random events that are disconnected, lurching from thing to thing. Now we want to be actors in that process and not simply reacting to these external triggers. So part of the work, which includes part of the mind work, is you know, being able to calm down and watch the flows of energy and see how they are shaping and influencing the decision processes, the feeling processes, and getting all that stuff smoothed and normalized it was a nice way to balance just the feelings of the pure energy, but also it's vectored energy. It's directional and intentional, and is intending to do some work. So it's more than just how does it feel to be you, but really it's a purposeful work with the energy flows that are giving us the ability to do things. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you're talking energy. Let's talk a little bit more about energy and how
Mm.
really clearing your energy, if you're a student of Ken already, clearing your energy can help to amplify everything that you're already learning with him. He's just has amazing coursework and he's an amazing mentor for y'all, I know. But I feel like he was talking about, this can help to amplify all of those things, right? Everything that you're already learning. And when I talk about energy, I mean it, I'm talking literally, like we're energy, right? If you're not into energy work or familiar with energy work, every cell in our body carries an electrical charge. Our physicians measure how healthy we are based on electrical impulses. And when that energy gets jammed up where it's not flowing or moving, whether it's from stress or from old patterns or from just emotions that arise, it throws you off your game, right? It creates interference. It's almost like your Wi-Fi signal, right? Think of it like your Wi-Fi. So when the connection is strong, everything is flowing, you process faster, you respond quicker, you make decisions with clarity. When your signal's weak or overloaded, your brain lags, you might freeze, you might break down. And so clearing your energy is almost like upgrading your Wi-Fi connection so that things will flow clearly for you.
Yeah, I'm noticing heart and brain. For probably 30 years, I've been following the work of the Heart Math Institute. And
Oh,
a lot of
yes.
folks know brain waves and brain energy, and that's not a surprising thing. But, your heart generates an enormous electrical field, which acts as almost a timing chain or a regulator of your overall system. And so, one of the features of working with you on clearing the energy is that sort of stabilizing those internal processes and normalizing them and getting a steady rhythm. It's like having a band with a really good drummer. You feel that, the trust that you can
Yeah.
rely on that whole thing that allows the other parts to relax a little bit more. And so that was one of the physiological things that I noticed throughout was that, I mean, there were even times when I would start a session feeling congested or a little bit of a head cold, and the act of breathing and relaxing and focusing on internal energy was, I come out of it and be like, oh, I'm not congested and my nasal passages are clear just from the work that we've done. Surprise. And then that became not surprising. So
Mhm.
there are definite physiological markers that go along with this. I've done a lot of work with biofeedback and stress management with the Army, where we try everything, psychology, biomechanics, biofeedback, and all that. And so the work we were doing clearly triggers all of those systems to work in natural ways that have measurable impact on our physical and mental states. So
Mhm.
yeah, it was the that was surprising, not surprising once we got into it because it pulled together a lot of different things that I had studied separately,
Mhm.
and this allowed me to leverage things I'd already done, and I was able to use my own experiences with meditation and mindfulness and so forth that to supplement the work that you were giving me to do. It was easy to tap into work I had already done. I didn't have to persuade myself to
Mhm.
try on things I'd never heard of. No, there was a very natural connection to work that I had done before. So I wanted
Yeah.
just I wanted to emphasize that.
Yeah, you did a great job of pulling in everything that you already knew, and that's it. Kind of helps to make the point here that we are energy at the bottom of everything. When it all comes down to it, we're energy walking around in a meat suit, right?
Yeah,
And and some people have people use different tools, they find their ways.
yeah,
But what I find sometimes is that what we don't understand or uncover is that we do have the ability to impact all those different systems that you talk about, right? We can. We are that powerful. And in terms of our own energy, we can direct our energy to do what we want it to do. We just have to know how, and we just need to be taught how to do it.
Yeah.
And sometimes we need somebody else to help us with that. And whatever that looks like for you, it
Yeah.
can be different for everybody, right?
Yeah, I'd also like to say the various guided visualizations you led me through, a lot of those were brand new to me,
Mm,
and really opened up new perspectives and angles that I hadn't explored before. So I found that there was a really good balance of that which was comfortable, that which was new and interesting, coming from different perspectives to keeping it fresh and viable and authentic.
mhm.
I thought you did a great job in blending the new as well as the tried and true. So
Oh,
I think that
thank
was
you.
important.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I always try to well, I do two things. I'll share this. Two things. I always try to make it engaging, right? Because it's not about, that's how we learn best, and that's how we are excited, right? Is for the most part when we learn new things and that
Yeah.
we learn that we can impact ourselves in that way. And then I always am guided intuitively by what goes on as well, right? So if I get a thought in my head that says, hey, this is the type of meditation to use today, then I trust that intuition and I go with that. And so I'm glad to hear. Thank you for sharing that
Great.
that it worked
Well,
for you.
let me say something more about intuition while we're on that subject,
Yeah.
because one of my deep researches has been in the area of storytelling, story thinking, and creativity, and its connection to intuition. I'm working with Professor Angus Fletcher out of Ohio State University, his book Primal Intelligence just went international bestseller,
Um,
and in that he talks about the four elements of our primal intelligence that we've inherited from our biology, and
mm,
that was there before the scientific method and pure rationality, but was the first piece of it was intuition, then imagination, then common sense, and then emotional resilience. And the idea he describes is that the intuition is that deep-seated, already wired into your brain capability of noticing things that are different or unusual in your environment. If you're here and now, our intuition will find those things that need attention if you can just quiet the mind a little bit. And then
yeah,
once you get that little hint or that trigger, then the imagination can quickly develop potentials and possibilities and explorations. And then our practical mind comes in with common sense to make it real and achievable, not just flights of fancy, but how do I bring it back into actionable uh, uh, decisions? And then the final piece, the emotional intelligence, which gives us the energy sources and
mhm,
resilience and grit to keep making these transformational changes over time and keep going. So,
right.
what was really uh, helpful on this one was the deep experiential immersion into what I consider to be primal intelligence, and that is sort of bypassing the chatter of the monkey mind, calming him down a little bit, and then going right into the direct experience and feelings and visions that are being generated in the effort, and that gets us back closer to who we actually are and want to be, and how we move in that direction. So the intuition that you're talking about allows us to find those areas that
Yeah,
need the attention, need the
yeah,
work,
yeah,
because we know it to be true. Even if we can't initially put that into words, the words will come once we sit in that space. And I think with your guidance, I was always able to quickly get to that state where the work needed to be done, often in surprising ways.
yeah, yeah,
And then that's part of the trusting relationship there, is to listen to that guide and to act on that information, and to go with it where it needs to go. And so the ability to listen, and then but also let go and to trust is an important part of this relationship. And I would say For executive coaching or decision making in groups that are out there, this kind of developmental experience is going to make you better in all of those settings where not where nobody has the total answer, and we're trying to find what it is that each of us brings and how it might shape and fit together. So you've got to be both fluid and active and aware and adaptive in that whole process. And if we've got our energy working correctly, it's easier to work with others. So I've noticed that the my ability to collaborate has been improving because of this work that we've done. And so I wanted to, yeah, make that pitch about sort of this primal intelligence that Professor Fletcher talks about. We've been doing a lot of research with our traders and with our special forces officers in the Army. The intuition is that central starting point
Mhm.
for this work here. It's fueled by the energy that you're helping us with. So I
Absolutely.
wanted to lock that in.
I love that connection, and it reminds me really of, when somebody asks me for the like the down and dirty version of what I do,
Yeah.
I say I help people to remember who they are.
Yeah.
Tapping into that intuition is
Yeah.
remembering who you are, that primal side of
Yeah.
us, right?
Yeah.
And it's as simple as that. And when we remember that, we can become limitless in so many ways. It just
Yeah.
it unlocks so much for us.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I think a lot of, I think when we first discover that we are our own person, the beginnings of the ego self-awareness,
Yeah.
and we're listening to our own thoughts and what's going on, and then we get educated into other roles, other personas, other expectations, and we can lose that connection to that primal self.
Right.
And it's always head talk and word talk and rationality, which doesn't always connect with who we are at our root level, at our
Yeah.
feelings and our visions and values. And so, if you go through life in with that kind of divergence, it wouldn't be surprising then to have maybe difficulties later in life trying to reintegrate and discover, well, who am I and what am I all about and all that stuff. So in
Hmm.
my view, this is really a way to get right back to who you are at the core level
Yep.
and to trust that person and to be thankful for that person and to uh, be an instrument of living that vision in the world from your own point of view, under your own freedom of action and sense of identity. So I wanted
Yeah.
to say that about who we are on the inside.
And you're spot on. We are so we become, I don't know the best word to say, how the best way to say it.
I think programmed is how I think
Conditioned,
of it. Yeah,
yeah. We
yeah,
become conditioned and programmed based on what others say we should be or we should do or
yeah,
how we should be. And that takes us just so far away from that primal, who we are space. And so yeah, you're absolutely right. This takes us right back to it. And yeah, if we can figure it out early in life, or if we never forget it, because we know it when we're little,
yeah,
but over time it kind of we forget about it. It's not reinforced for us and gets conditioned out of us. So we all come to it in our own time, and it's all perfect timing, right?
yep,
And you've been working at this for a long time. How about if we talk about this in terms of some of the work that you have
sure,
done and already put out to your community? So
yeah, yeah.
you know
And
yeah.
let me jump on this one here. So when we first started this, I my instinct, my gut reaction was that there were these eight imbalances that I noticed persistently over my career and in the work I do with others, that it's always one or more of these things that's taking us away from that perfect harmony of trading our plan and planning our trade and all that. There was always one or more of these things, these imbalances that were acting to override uh, our carefully developed trading plan. And the definition was sort of, what was it like if you were to observe it? What was it like to feel
Mhm.
those imbalances, what was going on internally. And one of the things I noticed was that there's a lot of reasons why you could become imbalanced in one of these ways. And then my intuition was that I didn't really need to have a elaborate theory of how to regain balance that was tied to each one of these imbalances. It was really enough to be able to name and explain and understand the state I was in, and then quickly get balanced. And no matter what the reason happened to be, I could just be aware of it, accept it, acknowledge it, and then act on it to quickly get right back into a feeling of balance. So I wasn't trying to fix these things, prevent these things, or
Yeah.
spend a lot of time overthinking it. It was really just up. I'm a little off balance. Let's get balance, and then immediately act to get there. So that was a surprise for me how easy that became. I didn't have to have an equally elaborate explanation of how to get balanced. I could just rebalance and get back to that center point without
Mhm.
trying to fix these things. What I learned was that um, these are not malfunctions or errors or things to eliminate, but they are the natural consequences of being a living, thinking, feeling person doing hard work in a sometimes chaotic and dangerous world. That these are the natural things that are always going to appear. And that's like trying to, well, if I could just make the rain stop. Well, no, that's not going to happen. So what can I do about it? Or how shall I live in a healthy way with rain or with the imbalances. So this was the slide that got us started 4 months ago, and we progressed through this, as you recall, and
Yeah.
doing work on each of the individual keys as pairs, and
Hmm.
then working on recovering that balance quickly in each case.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we talked about it too in terms of, I'll flip on to the next slide here. We talked about it too in terms, talked about these all in terms of, what happens when your energy is not is blocked or not balanced,
Yeah,
and then what happens as a result. If we can get your energy cleared, around that, what happens very practically speaking, like you said back in the beginning, what's the bottom line here? Because we all want to change. We don't want to just be in the, oh well, this feels good in the moment.
yeah,
What's the impact? So, a couple examples here with overreaching. Like if you're trying to force a win, you're trading outside of your plan, anxiety, pressure going on there. But when your energy is clear, you're coming from a place of less urgency and less fear, and you can stay more patient and follow your plan and just be kind of confident in what you're doing.
yeah,
Same with hesitation, right? You see the opportunity on the opposite end, right? Opposite end. You see the
yeah,
opportunity, but you're second guessing yourself. So when your energy's cleared, and we that's the work that we did very deliberately. When your energy's cleared, then your thinking can sharpen. You really trust yourself and that
yeah,
intuition. You can make decisions faster, and you kind of don't go down that spiral of, doubt, right? And
yeah,
so these are two examples, but this is the work that I do, right? I help you to go from the the place where you
yeah,
don't want to be to the place where you can be. And like you said too, it's not a matter of not ever hesitating, like eliminating that from the way that you react, because we are human, right? We are perfectly imperfect human beings, and there will be moments and times when, our emotions and our thought processes get in the way. But the more you experience what it feels like when your energy is clear, the faster you can get back there. It's like building muscle memory if you're an athlete, right? The more you
yeah.
do it, the more you get there. Sometimes, it might take a minute, but over time.
That's really key. That there's almost a Goldilocks feeling of just enough at the right time is what's needed, and too much is going overboard. So, like a trader has to reach for an opportunity. You have to leave the safety of the sidelines and reach for the opportunity that you've identified and you're trying to collect. The idea would be reaching is good. Overreaching is when we would objectively look back and say, oh, you were trying for too much, or you're trying to get too big of a
Hmm.
scoop, or you went too far, or you weren't
Hmm.
prepared for the long run, you ran out of gas. And hesitation is that problem when you've gone beyond the point of diminishing returns of reflection and thoughtfulness to the point where you're just kind of repeating the reasons why you are uncertain and you haven't gotten to the point where you're comfortable with it and can act on it. You're stuck in this do loop of overthinking. So,
Hmm.
what you helped me see was the pairing of these. If I'm in a harmonious, balanced state, I'm in between
Hmm.
overreaching and being too aggressive and being impulsive and going for more
Hmm.
and the inability to act. So the hesitation where I can't pull the trigger when I should pull the trigger. There's some happy medium in there where I'm taking thoughtful, measured, intentional actions at the right time and not missing the opportunity and starting to chase. So that's what we meant by not trying to fix the underlying processes of
Right.
reaching and reflecting, which is what I want to do. But I don't want to overreach or over reflect and therefore miss the opportunity. So trying to find harmony and acceptance and forgiveness for having these feelings and for maybe having exaggerated feelings in one direction or another, the ability to accommodate and accept and own and internalize them but nevertheless be able to act in a professional way, finding that natural, harmonious space of all these things I was a source of healing for me and an elimination of stress because I could find safe places where I could acknowledge the importance of reaching and of reflecting, but without staying too long in those states. So
Hmm.
yeah, so we did this for each of we had the eight imbalances and we had four pairs, and this is just an example. I think
Yeah.
this was the first one that we did that
Hmm.
proved to
Hmm.
be very, very helpful for me.
Oh, I'm glad. Good. Thank you. Thank you.
And I
Well,
will also point out it was your intuition to pair them and to pick those two and to, and it was our intuition that that could work and how did it go? And then we saw how it could connect to the other things. And so, in many ways, the bespoke nature of your work was it was eating our own cooking or eating your own cooking, which was to be connected to intuition, to
yeah.
trust the presence of energy and the direction it wanted to go, and to be able to work with that. The same way
Mhm.
the swordsmith can work with molten steel and feel how that sword is emerging. It was the use of intuition that helped guide us through this what at times felt a little chaotic in my own feelings until we got everything sorted. But
Mhm.
yeah, so the
Mhm.
power of intuition was essential here for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and we co-created this methodology here,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And that's the beauty of the work. There is very little that's wrote about this work. And it is that's what makes it so powerful, right? Because each person brings their own experience and their own energy to it. And each person and mine energy combined creates a whole new and different energy,
Yeah.
and it, and it results in, I think this was a fabulous process. I
Well,
really
what I noticed was I've gone through coaching programs where I get diagnosed and then he tells me what to do and then I try and do it. But and then I'm sort of always needing the coach to tell me what the next thing is. The fact that you were able to help me find the inner sources of these things and stay grounded in my own experience gave me agency. It gave me tools to work with, gave me the skills that I needed to be self-regulating. And so it was building on things that I already had on board, but maybe I hadn't seen or had obscured or whatever. So it was very clear that the co-creation was the key word I wanted to focus in on
yeah.
that you used. That was exactly what it was like, and how I know it was personally tuned was, watching us try to find the way that would work in the moment and in the project was very much a personally tuned to my circumstances and my context. And I thought you were masterful at teasing that out and designing a genuinely unique experience inside of your framework.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's always fun, and I say it again, it's always my honor. It's a new experience every time I work with someone, and and I learn and grow throughout it as well. And that's what life's about, right?
Yep.
So I talk about this as being a partnership. It's not a me telling you what to do, right? I'm learning just as much as you are all at the
Yep.
same time. And that to me is a beautiful, beautiful arrangement. So.
Mhm.
Anything else you would like to share? Any specific moments that you remember? You've shared a lot about our sessions. Before I jump
Well,
into
I think there
the
were one
Mhm.
of the things I did that, and a personal approach, I guess, is I'm a strong believer in artifacts, in that the things that I do, I try to convert that into an artifact that stands alone and captures the meaning of what was going on, and then in the same way art can often do that. And so I found myself in all the sessions, making sketches. I'm a visual
Mhm.
person in that sense, making flashcards out of things and using that almost free association with words, but also free association of sketching and drawing to allow me to tap into the kinesthetic feelings and the visual feelings. I'm normally an auditory person, but I find when I've found ways to integrate all of those modes together, I get deeper and longer lasting
Oh.
features. So for me, the experiential part of this was reflected in the way I would do my free form art in the moment, and then to express what I was seeing and feeling and hearing in the sessions, and then turning that into flashcards, which well, I'll put in the course so people can see what I'm doing. But that turned out to be a really powerful way to help me integrate all the things in my journey, and gave me something to reflect on later, because it was like, oh, I remember when I drew that, what I was feeling with that when that part of the picture was being drawn. And it was a sort of a way to recursively go back through and iterate and visit as many times as I needed. So that helped me be unhurried
Mhm.
and also trusting of the process. So,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wanted to share that.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. And I loved that. So I've never seen anyone that I partner with and do this work do that in the middle, right during the session. And that's again, that's kind of the beauty of it. It flows in the way that it works for you, right? It worked for
Yeah.
you. And I was always so excited to see what you had drawn, what you had drawn,
Yeah.
because I could see
What
you
was in the world is that? So reverse ink blot kind of stuff.
yeah, I could see you were drawing, but I couldn't see what you were drawing or what it was
Well,
going to look
usually you
like.
see, the guide will hold up an ink blot and you try to figure out what it means. I was just,
Yeah,
I knew what it meant, and
yeah.
then the ink blot would emerge from all that out of the cloud. So it was kind of reverse art in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that no, it was awesome. I love it. And art having artifacts, right? Having tools for
Yeah.
for others to use as well. That's great. And to that point, how about we talk a little bit about different ways
Sure.
that folks can work with me because everybody learns differently. Like you said,
Yeah.
everybody experiences and has different needs. And so
Yeah.
what I've done is created three different ways if you're interested to kind of
Sure.
experience the work, integrate the work, and from the perspective of how deeply you want to go and how quickly you want to go. So I'll start off talking about the our self-guided experience, and this is what I'm calling our Trader's Energy Reset Toolkit. This is the self-guided path, and it gives you on-demand access to all of the videos that Ken and I have been talking about from his own energy clearing sessions. He put himself out there like a champ, and I think there's so many nuggets in there, and just there's such a great example of the shift that can happen with this work. So the six recorded sessions that you have access to were the ones that Ken's talked about before. So the first one is a deep energy level set session. Then we had four individual sessions around pairs of the imbalances, like we've talked about. And then the final session was an attunement to say, okay, now we've got you all nice and cleared out and understanding how your energy flows and what you can do if you need to shift it. Now let's work to elevate your energy to get you to the next level,
Yep.
to your next level self, right? So you can be more and more effective. So this self-guided experience gives you access to all of those videos, adding in a PDF and a video explaining how you can use the videos for your own self-clearing. In
Mhm.
addition to watching them, you can participate right along. Energy is an amazing thing. You don't have to be there right in the moment to tap into it.
Yep.
And then I've added a bonus here, a mini audio recording that's an exercise for you, almost like a guided meditation that you can use before you go start your workday to help
Yeah.
get you settled.
Yeah, I've shared pieces and parts of the different sessions with my small group coaching guys to kind of get their assessment of it, and I was really almost stunned, not but then not really, at how much it resonated with them, even though it was my personal experience. They found that they were uh, drawn along on the journey of visualization that, as you talked me through it, they
Mm,
were having their own visions.
nice.
And it was interesting for them to see where they went and then compared it to where I went and how those things were either connected or mutually supportive or whatever. And so they found that to be an incredibly powerful set of experiences that, again, on demand to be able to get that as often as you want. And they reported that when they listened to some things more than once, that they were picking up new things.
Yep.
It's like each key that you find unlocks a door and then lets you find another key that you didn't see in that same material. So going back and working this stuff periodically turns out to be a nice way to get all of the value unlocked down to the lowest possible level. So yeah, I think this is an incredible opportunity here. And if I was your boss, I'd make you charge 10 times as much for this because it's transformational in that sense. This is an amazing opportunity.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, normally this one I would offer for 397 for your community at 297 that and it is a great value because you have everything right there
Mhm.
um whenever you want it, wherever you want it. And it's yeah, this is a great way to get started if you want to kind of do things behind the scenes by yourself. If you want to, though, maybe step into community, I have an option for those folks who prefer kind of the group and the community experience. And so this is brings more structured support with you or for you, called From Friction to Flow. And this is about starting to really, really master your energy. And one of the things that happens when you get in a group setting, as powerful as it can be to work individually, when you get in a group setting, the energy is amplified, right? You know the difference between
Yep.
sitting in your living room and watching a football game and being in a stadium and watching the football game and the feeling that you get. And so you if you're the stadium kind of person, this is this is the option for you.
Yep.
Helps from an accountability perspective, and you get everything that you get from the Trader's Energy Reset Toolkit. So you get all of the recordings plus live monthly Zoom calls with me. This is a 6 month program. You get those live calls in a group setting, and it follows the same format as we did for Ken for your sessions, right?
Yep.
And so you get to go through that process. Folks get to go through that process.
Yep.
The community piece comes in where we're there and we're live and we can talk and we have Q&A and we can debrief and we can discuss what's going on and hear other people's experiences. One of the things that I find is so impactful, just like you said, when you shared some of it with some of your folks in the small group coaching, when you start to hear other people having experiences that maybe you had and you were questioning, like, did that really happen? Like, did I Did I
Yeah.
feel that energy moving through me? When you hear somebody else say it, you get the affirmation and it gives you that permission to be okay with it. Because if this is something that's different for you, it's different, right? But there's amazing, there's amazing power in being in a community like this, and
Yeah.
particularly marrying the trading community and the energy community that you have. So you've got multi levels here in this
Yeah,
opportunity.
what I was going to say on the monthly frequency, I think is correct because at the individual level, I found it we were averaging probably a session like every other week once we got things rolling, and I think I was able to go essentially twice a month because I was not also contending with or incorporating a lot of other different experiences. My spider
Good.
sense here, my intuition is that in a small group, you really want a full month in between the coaching sessions so that the seeds that are planted can sprout a little bit and you can tend
Hmm.
the garden and really start. You don't want to be hurried in going through there's a seasonality to
Yeah.
these things. And so I think in the small group setting, the monthly frequency is just right for being able to go deep as needed, but also with enough frequency that you keep coming back to it and getting better on each cycle. So I think that's exactly the right way to do this.
Yeah.
And from the group work that I've been doing with our traders on both technical trading and then in our creativity courseware, the the thing that is always surprising and not surprising is just how powerful the small group experiential learning effect can
Yeah.
really be when
Mhm.
because you're working on something for that month and you have your experiences, you come in ready to talk about it, and then somebody else comes in and starts telling their reactions and their stories and their visions, and you realize, holy mackerel, that unpacks so many things that you might have overlooked, that the fact that you did hard deep work and then thought you knew what it was that you were going to talk about, and then you hear these other things in that you're already in an energized state, and then you get this flash of insight. That is what really triggers transformational effects. We've seen it uh, in the protreptic coaching courses, in the creativity courses, and in some of our advanced trading workshops. That group effect is so powerful. This is, I think, a great opportunity as well.
Yeah, yeah. And the integration, that's what you're talking about. It's
Yep.
integration, having that
Yep.
time to integrate and even operationalize what you've learned and what you've experienced. And what I'll say too on this one that, there's a bonus here for accessing a Marco Polo group. So I don't know if folks are familiar with Marco
Yeah.
Polo.
Tell me a little more about that.
Yeah, it's an app. Basically, it's an app where you can literally get on and you go on camera and you're sending your message to whoever you would like to send it to. It could be the group, it could be an individual person.
Hmm.
Um, that person could jump on live from the other end and be on the app at the same time, or they can come back and watch your video later. But it's
Hmm.
a great app for community sharing. It's a great app for doing what you were talking about. Hey, I just experienced this today, and this is what I thought about it. Has anybody else experienced that? Or I've got a question about this. Can anybody help? Or hey, I'm available to talk at 3 o'clock if anybody wants to follow up on our call from today, those types of things. So it's a really nice app to for just community support and sharing, and it's free.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a paid version, but you can use the free
Yeah.
version and it's fine. Yep. So this option normally is a 39.97 option. Ken, for your community, I'm doing 29.97 for it. And hopefully that would
Yep.
will meet
Yep.
needs for
We'll
some
get that
folks.
pushed out there into the world
Yeah, absolutely.
and let the people find it. Yep.
Yep. And then for anybody who is interested in um your experience, basically, the
Yeah.
one-on-one, that VIP, this is kind of like the Cadillac version of it all, right? The trainer's energetic edge. This is for those folks that really want that highly, highly personalized one-on-one and partnership. And I say partnership, like I talked about before, very specifically because it is a co-creation. It really is building a program. I don't even call it a program, building an experience in tandem for based on what, what the person's needs are specifically. So this one comes with everything from the first two options. And then those monthly one-on-one sessions, private one-on-one sessions where we do the deep dive into energy, we clear, we recalibrate your energy. And then again, during that same month, we'll come back and do an integration session. So we'll do a check-in and see how you're doing integrating. And those sessions can kind of look like talking through, hey, this is what I experienced since we did the energy work. It can be more energy work if that's what's needed in the moment. Again, it's all very personalized and based on what you need in the moment. Using that emotion, mind, energy integration focus, we build strategies for you so that you walk away knowing what action items you might have and then how to identify other ones for you as well. The
Yeah,
big
this is an amazing opportunity that I think if you were to watch, some of the videos on the energy reset piece, you would find out pretty quickly. You would feel the resonance if that's for you, and what it actually feels like. I will just tell you uh, I've done a lot of work like this that proposes to do things like this, but which are really kind of just rules based and follow a recipe and it works or doesn't work. What you get with Alicia that's really unique in my experience is that total commitment and all in and genuinely personalized deep dives made this really a central part of my self-development from the very first minute. I mean, from the time we first connected in a small breakout room, we were both studying some transformational procedures with an organizational development group, and came to this deeper understanding of the potential for energy work almost spontaneously, and never looked back. So um, this is this is really a powerful and a moving experience, and sometimes that's what we need at critical states in our inner life. And I can vouch for the process, and I'm happy to talk with anybody that has any questions on that for a deeper explanation of what I was going through. I would just say, watch those the videos of the sessions, and you can see it happening live and unrehearsed and genuine. It was always kind of amazing to come out of the session and say that was that was 2 hours. How did that? Where did that go in that timeless moment? So it was kind of there was a lot of deep work being done I'd say at the cellular level in all of the sessions. So
yeah,
anyway, I am happy to answer anybody's questions if about my personal experience on that. I'm happy to share. Just get a hold of me in the usual way. And yeah, that's
appreciate
what I
that.
want to say. So I think you put together a really nice, productive set. I also would say that all of these things lead naturally to working with you outside of the trading community as well. I mean,
Mhm.
you were kind enough to put these together for our trading community, but I would tell you that the uh, all the goodness that has impacted me on my trading pales in comparison to the other dimensions of my life that this has also affected. I'm kind of a whole person trader anyway,
Yeah.
and so this work really got more to the root level of whatever it was that was on my mind and needed work. And then by getting that energy cleared, I became a better trader just sort of naturally. So
Hmm.
it wasn't just, hey, this works if you're just a trader. No, it's really
Yeah.
anybody that's making decisions under stress that are meaningful and have consequences and in the middle of uncertainty is a normal, sort of like normal life. This goes beyond just simple trading imbalances. I tried to make that point earlier that those eight imbalances that we worked on really are a feature of every decision maker in personal and public life. that's making decisions that have consequences for others. So there is a broad applicability of this work, even outside of the focused area of trading, which it works great on, no doubt
Mhm.
about that. But um, I couldn't help but notice I was going over my trading statistics over the last 3 months at a time when the market was very toppy and choppy. I've had maybe the best 3 months of trading results in the last 10 years in a very challenging market, just as a sort of a natural consequence of being smooth and steady. So there's that, you know.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. I didn't know
Yeah,
that. I
yeah.
haven't heard that. And you just were been taking a
Well,
look.
I'm always kind of a little reluctant to just say, "Well, here's how I'm doing all that," because
Yeah. Yeah, I get it.
because your mileage may vary at all times. But I
Right.
can say, in my
Yeah.
documented public trading account, the results are absolutely clear to see. So anyway, I want to
Uh,
say that.
I love that. I love
Yeah,
that. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for
yeah,
sharing. Yeah, this is fun. I love the work. I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't love it. And it's it can change your life. And I would do work with people from all walks of life, all
yeah,
different industries, couples, groups within organizations.
yeah,
So yeah, it has just broad application because we all need to remember who we are, right? We all need to remember who
yeah.
we are. Yeah. I'm going to flip on here and just make a special invitation, put a special invitation out there for folks too on this one, because, Ken, you and I have talked about this too. There are folks that this is energy work is new, right? For
Yeah.
lots of folks. And there are people like to experience things before they actually commit to it. And I totally get that. So I'm giving the opportunity for that here. This is Unlock and Unleash. This is my 30-minute one-on-one session where we'll do a real fast but very deep energy reset for you. So you get to experience what an energy clearing is like. You can ask me questions. We can talk about how the work could support you and specifically for you if you're
Yeah.
interested in something that is, real bespoke for you. And normally this is something that I do at 497. I'm making it complimentary though for the first 11 people who schedule. I have limited availability on my calendar, but I do want to give folks the opportunity to take a test drive if they're interested. Because what I find is that once you take a test drive of it, once you actually experience it, you can't
Yeah.
deny how the impact of it. And
It's one
it's
of those, if you know, you know.
yeah, exactly. So the QR code there will takes you to a booking link. You can use that QR code and get on my calendar, and I'd love to see you there and answer questions and do some energy clearing for you as well. So
Cool.
yeah,
Is that one how we get a hold of you if needed? There we are. Look at
yep.
that. Reading my mind. Yeah.
Yeah, we're there. So if you have questions, even outside of, scheduling some time with me, different ways to get in touch. Here's my website, my email, my LinkedIn, and feel free to reach out and just let me know that you saw Ken and I talking about all the amazing work that he did, and I'd be happy to set up some time with you as well to chat there. So the whole goal is to really, whether it's trading or working or making decisions or whatever it is, to do it from clarity and from not from chaos. And when your energy is clear, then you have the strategic edge regardless of what your industry is. So
Well, I think that was perfect, and you've been more than kind and gracious, and you've given us opportunities to really experience your services at a ridiculous prices. I got to talk to you about raising your prices, but it is what it is. So I'm looking forward to more work we're doing in the future. We have another project we're going to work on. We're going to expand
Mhm.
our collaboration into the area of hospice nursing where my brother is an experienced hospice nurse, and we're trying to find ways to use energy to help the hospice nurse help others that are in need of care, but
Mhm.
also how to prepare young new hospice nurses for the challenges and the rigors of that profession, and then how to help the older ones with the resilience and reconstitution and re-energizing to allow them to stay in the profession longer because it can be very draining. So there, it was very clear to me that this was a natural outcome or a natural next step in there. So looking forward to working with you on that. And
Yeah, me too.
that's everything I have for tonight. I want to get this into production out into the world. And I just wanted to thank you so much for taking the time and for the work you've done to help me. I just am personally grateful beyond words. And I wanted to share the good news with our team and our members. So we're heading into the Labor Day weekend. I'm gonna probably be doing some work this Labor Day, but I'll be energized for it for sure. So
I love that.
why don't you say goodbye to the people so we can get on with the next things?
Say goodbye to the people. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for your all of your time and your just your energy around all of this, Ken. And again, it's always my honor, and I look forward to working with as many of your people
Yeah.
as will have me. So,
All righty, buddy. We will see you at our next session, and
yep.
that's all we got for tonight. So take good care, folks. And the sound of my voice, keep your wrist measured and your powder dry.